Yeah, it's trying to get all the contracts done.
So we should keep asking you every day until you tell us.
If you want.
Jenna hasn't
I
asked you
am
yet.
not asking you.
Oh, sorry. So what you're saying is you have thought of a very unique way to get an answer that I'm not willing to get.
No, I just want to make sure. Do you want to stay at JGR?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
You started exploring other options with JGR, returning to JGR.
See, that's a play on words. That's not nice. Why would you do that? I have a race team. I always have options.
Wouldn't you do the same, though? Because you got your media side too with your
I think
podcast
you just
now.
said something.
Wouldn't
Go
you?
either way.
Wouldn't you?
I'm just saying I have.
You have a race team.
Wouldn't you ask the same way? Wouldn't you?
If you're just a driver, you are at mercy of whoever will hire you. I will hire me. That's a good business
You would
decision.
rank at the top of the candidate? You would rank yourself at the top of the candidate?
Of course. And I should be the highest paid driver in the field.
That's right. That's three up for next year.
Three cars next year.
Huh?
Could 2311 run 3 full-time teams next year conceivably?
I mean, if apocalypse comes, yeah.
It may be, though.
Define apocalypse.
Is FedEx re-up for next year, or are you going to find a
Yeah.
partial sponsor like Mavis like you had this year, or what's your sponsorship?
Yeah. I mean, the relationship with FedEx is continued to be strong, and they're definitely going to be on the car next year. On the 11 car.
Full-time? Or are you going to have a partial sponsor like you had this year?
I don't know the details of it, but certainly we're going to continue that partnership that's been 20 years strong or so now. Yeah. I've got a great relationship
But if
with
the driver
the 11 and
if you're
Joe
not the
Gibbs and
driver of the
FedEx.
11.
I got a great relationship with all of them.
Denny, how is the mental game or the mental gymnastics of the playoffs different from the first 26 and just trying to be competitive and trying to win races? How does it change?
Well, I think it's different for everyone. I think that, am I a person concerned with making the playoffs every year? No, I'm not. I haven't been a bubble guy, right? I've been very blessed to not be. But so what I feel about the regular season, if I have a bad day, is probably different than someone that's maybe they're in lesser equipment. Maybe they're going to fight for that bubble position just about every year. They value probably the regular season a lot more in the sense of when they have a bad day, oh my gosh, I've lost points, I'm not going to make the playoffs. We're just looking at it as there's 7 available points each and every week to gain, to add to my playoff bonus. Did we leave with some or not? That's kind of the way that I look at it week in, week out. And then, do I close in on the regular season? Where am I at, and can I gain points that way? Did I have a solid day? It's not going to, I guess I'm always give 100%. But in the playoffs, there's just a little bit of extra that you got to give that you focus on, and you just, historically, the finishes, we get better in the playoffs. So I think that we peaked at the right time. We're really running well everywhere. Our finishes have been really good. We're executing good. So, yeah, to answer your question, I do think of the playoffs differently, but some people may not because they're in a pressure situation every week. Hey, the only way I got to get into the playoffs is I got to win. And this is another week that checked off that you didn't win. So it's just different.
What's the atmosphere?
My pressure starts now, for sure.
What's
Speaking
the
of the pressure, Bubba just went through it all just to get in. Now he's so number one, how much did that mean to 2311 and to Bubba to get in? Now he's got to start all over to stay in.
Yeah, I mean, for him, it's you only can go up from here. There's only positives. So, he drove into the playoffs in top 10 last year. He finished 10th in points with that 45 car, as if he was in the playoffs, right? So he knows what he's capable of. So now go do it for yourself. And he did it for the team last year. Now he needs to go do it for himself.
Is that an odd balance there, as a driver in the playoffs and an owner with a driver in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Is that an odd balance for you?
Well, our team we still have 2 cars that are in the playoffs, right? Like we're giving Bubba the best equipment that we can for him to succeed, and we want to see him succeed just as much as we do Tyler Reddick. It really doesn't make that big of a difference to us.
How big of a shot in the arm was it just for the people that work for you at the organization, getting both
It was
teams?
big. Yeah, it certainly was big. I mean, to have in our 3rd full season both cars, and I cannot emphasize enough, and a team that was started from 0, so scratch. So it is really hard to beat the Gibbses and the Hendricks and it's just hard. It's really, really hard. People don't understand how hard it is. And so to accomplish what our team has accomplished in 3 years, I'm very proud of.
And how's your shop coming?
Very good. We're looking to be on time and, hopefully to start moving stuff in December. So they're rolling.
MJ seemed really pleased with Bubba. How important was it for MJ to get both cars and Bubba into the playoffs?
Yeah, Bubba was the foundation driver that helped start this team with myself and MJ. So I think it was a big deal for him. He's a big race fan, as you know. He travels to these races and he's rooting on as much as anyone that's ever been in a suite with him. He's commentating half the time that he's watching the races. So it's fun to have a partner that's like that, that's so invested in the sport and how successful his race team is. And for him, he feels like he's got 3 shots to win every weekend between myself and the 2 drivers. So we're increasing his odds.
What kind of conversation did you have?
What can I take
What
from
can
him?
you take from him, just to win a championship?
Well, he's got such a ferocity, right? He's a person that, he doesn't want to, he's not trying to be anyone's friend out there. He's trying to do what's best for him and best for his team. And, I think you've seen kind of with my driving style lately, I've shifted into the more selfish mode. And that's what you're going to have to be, because I've had to adapt. You got to be a reptile in this sport. You can't just be stuck in your ways. You have to adapt to what your surroundings are. And I feel like I've had to change my style a little bit, and hopefully that pays dividends.
What kind of conversation did you have with Michael Jordan after? You're down on pit road. His wife was hugging the crew chief. It was genuine happiness down there. Afterwards, business-wise, or he and you talking, what did he say? What did you talk about after getting them in, getting Bubba in?
Well, he assaulted me on pit road, first of all. And so,
Michael did.
yes,
Yeah.
But, we didn't talk much about the business side of it at that point. I went and congratulated Bubba, and then I had to come back to, Claire, we had to go stand at our car for 15 minutes and wait on you guys to come ask us questions. So
Yeah.
I wasn't able to, be part of that whole corral, but that was Bubba's moment. I didn't feel, I just wanted to go over there, say quickly thank you, and then kind of let him be, because it's about Bubba and his accomplishment of making the playoffs. So again, the light needed to be on him.
Does he then text you? Does he call you? Does he say, hey, good job?
Yeah, we talk about business a lot, and on the daily. So we talked last night. I was in the middle of something and still get a call, and so it's like we always talk, and certainly his interest in this team has grown since obviously selling the Hornets.
Denny, you brought up the point about you and Brad actually being the only 2 owners to get both your cars in.
And JTG.
Right. 10 years ago, we were wondering where that next generation of owners were going to come from. You clearly had a front row seat to see how Joe did things. Brad had a front row seat to see how Roger did things, 2 of the most successful owners in the business. Do you feel safe now that the future of the sport is strong because we have guys like you and Keselowski coming in to be that next generation of team owner?
Yes, I think that, it was a little bit easier probably from my standpoint being partners with Michael. He hadn't already established a team and had been running it a certain way. He relied on me to run this team and hire the people that we needed to for competition-wise to run it a certain way that I deemed that it would be successful. Keselowski needed to buy in from his partners that let him have a little more of the reins on decision-making, and let's see if it bears fruit, which it has, right? So I think we were very fortunate to come in the sport when we both did. During Next Gen, I started a team from scratch, so I was able to form the organization different. Like the way our teams work is dramatically different than the 4-car teams or 3-car teams. It's just way different how we run our organization. But that was because we didn't have a legacy that we had been doing things for decades and decades. So that was the advantage of coming in late like we have.
You talked about where the team really thought, we really missed. This is something we missed Kyle Busch. This is something that he can really help us with.
No, but that's no disrespect to Kyle. That could don't twist it now to make it sound like I am, but the answer is no, because I'm so focused on myself and 2311 sitting beside me in those Joe Gibbs Racing meetings. Like, I feel like we've got, some veteran presence in me and Martin that kind of know what we're looking for, and, Seabell kind of knows what he's looking for now. Kind of the bringing along the Tyler and here's the system, and Bubba's getting better. Ty is just kind of finding where he fits in and his information. So no, because me and Martin are still there. I think if we both weren't there, then probably. But I mean, certainly from a results standpoint, he's gone to another organization and won 3 races, right? It's 3? Yeah, I mean, he's proving that he's Kyle Busch and one of the best the sport's ever seen.
Denny, you obviously talked about you having to build from the ground up and having the success in a relatively short time. I know, like, RFK was already established and Trackhouse essentially was established with getting the Ganassi stuff, but they also had to have success quickly in a short period of time. It's not the same, I understand that, but what is it? Why are we seeing 3 organizations be able to have significant turnarounds, or building up in success in such a short period? Because I don't think you would have seen this, like, especially earlier in your driving career, to where the sport was.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate it, you got to give a little credit to the next gen. Things are, the field is generally just tighter together. So the advantage that the bigger teams had in aerodynamics and simulation, it's just not as big. So there's less to overcome than what there has been in years past. So I'd say the next gen has made it easier for new teams to come in and compete.
Is it making it easier? I know there's still a lot of discussion for the teams and the ownership model, or the structure, but to get additional investors, to get the other Michael Jordans into the sport. I mean, you were around and saw Hall of Fame racing, and that seemed to be a big thing for the sport, for the people outside the sport, and they couldn't make it work, and it felt like it set things back, because it showed people outside the sport this can't work. Is there more interest in what can happen here, or is it still waiting on?
It can't work unless you have significant sponsorship, and that model has not changed. We're very fortunate to have the partners that we do at 2311. That has allowed us to put in the resources that we have. If you're a new team, you don't stand a chance without sponsorship, because the model has not changed yet.
Do you feel like it's moving in that direction then?
It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
How are negotiations right now?
Not well.
Why so?
They're just not well.
Do you feel like
I don't want to get into it, but it's not on track.
So it's once the TV deal, the media rights deal is done, there's still going to be a lot of work, even more so.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
How do you bridge? And NASCAR, you may have made a mistake, but owners would like to have their charters for perpetuity, right, forever, until they sell them. NASCAR said that
if you purchase a franchise, you should get to keep it.
NASCAR said, hey, we only want to do this for X number of years. How do you bridge that gap? Because how do you figure out a compromise to that?
I'm not sure. I think the team's ask has been very legitimate, and not off on left field by any means, for sure. You're going to have to chase down Jim and ask for the reason, because there's not really a good reason, but the answer has been no.
Is that worrisome?
Last question.
Huh?
Is that worrisome?
100%. I've spent a lot of money on charters, for sure.
Of all the times,
All right, guys, we got to wrap up. We've got to get to the next station.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same old strategy. Yeah.
of all the times you've come down to the wire in the playoffs, what do you consider your closest call with the championship?
Oh, man. Gosh, it's almost a tie. Well, I should have won in 2010. I fucked that up pretty bad. Yeah, well, yeah, just after the Phoenix. I just certainly Jimmy got in my head there, and I just second guessed what had made me successful the whole time.
How about
I don't know. 2021 is what happened in 21.
You were chasing Truex. And the caution
Yeah, and the
came
caution came out, and then Larson went from 4th to 1st on the pit stop. That's probably one. I would say that in 2019, when we put the piece of tape on the car, I was running Kyle Busch down at the end, and I was a couple seconds back from him, but I hadn't even, it was Homestead, I had not even pushed yet. I was just waiting, and then all of a sudden, we put the tape on the car and we blow up, so that was a bad deal. So tie. There's like a 5-way tie.
Every year's a little different, but where do you feel like you're positioned to do this 10-race playoff this season, as far as the team and maybe yourself as a driver?
I think the team has got better all-around speed than what they've had in a while. I mean, I think that first year, next year, we knew that we were good on the big tracks. We weren't good at short tracks. Road courses were awful, right? I think that we've shown we can win and have speed at all tracks this year, so that's something that we haven't had, even though we've made it to the Final Four so many years. We still have more overall speed at all types of racetracks and then honestly, you can get to the Final Four, but if you don't have speed at Phoenix, it doesn't matter, and I think that we will.
Is this your year?
Go ahead.
Is this your year?
It's always my year. So it's
They're all
not.
good. They're all good.
Yeah.
But I mean, this field seems pretty wide open. I mean,
Yeah.
do you like your chances?
I do. I mean, I think I was just telling Jim, I think that we're stronger than we've been. Road courses, I've got speed now, and short tracks, our cars, if we get to the Final Four, I'm not worried about being at a deficit. I think the pit crew's better. They're coming into its own. So, all the pieces of the puzzle are there. There's no excuses for sure.
Is your toughest competition within JGR?
I think so. I think Martin is certainly, he's a talented dude, and he can sometimes put in about a quarter of the work I do and still outrun me. So he's just a gifted race car driver, and he's always tough. That's why he's a champion.
What about Bell's walk-off wins in the playoffs last year? How impressive was that?
Super impressive. I mean, he was needed to win, I think, was it twice? To advance one round, then to get to the final. I mean, one certainly came at my expense, but it was super impressive, no doubt about it, and certainly probably built some character for him for these playoffs that he's prepared for now.
How difficult is it for a driver to know they're in that position but then pull it off?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, I've been trying for a while, but I have been in the win or go home situations. Phoenix, 2019, we had to win, and we did to get to the Final Four. But it just, I don't know. I think it's so circumstantial it's just a race, and you just never know what can happen in a race. That you just hope to have a shot at it. And again, if I keep putting myself in the Final Four, I'm eventually going to have a really good shot at a championship. But I just feel like all the, whether it be pit crew, whether it be speed of the cars, is all put together a little bit more this year than in years past.
When you say you have all the pieces, what is it then you look forward to, or what do you look to do when you get to each track in the 10 races? If you know that the pieces are already there.
I guess what you're saying is that, well, then what do I have to do, right?
Yeah.
And the way I see it is...
What do you look for from when you get there to make sure that...
I need to get, I know specific little areas where I need to get better that has cost me opportunities, late race restarts, things like that, things I can work on to get better. So certainly... I look in the mirror as much as anyone. Like, I've got all the pieces of the puzzle together to win a championship. My teammates have won championships in past years, so I need to do better. And I think that I'm more prepared now, more experienced. I feel like I'm honestly as fast as I've ever been. So I'm confident.
Jared pinned you down on your podcast as to reasons why you would win the championship, and they were all really good. Team is best it's ever
And
been.
why I wouldn't.
And why you wouldn't, why you wouldn't was the black kiss of death or something
Yeah.
on luck. But your crew chief is on with me tonight, and he does not believe in bad luck.
I agree.
So the one reason why you said was luck. Do you believe that luck is that?
Well, I think I'm very vague with the word luck. I think a lot of it is things that are out of my control, right? I mean, again, you guys have covered the playoffs when my roof hatches fell off, my ignition fails at Martinsville, like just a lot of little things that have just happened. Things that I'm trying to drive the car the best of my ability, but luck is not the right word. It's controlling what I can control, and I honestly feel like the last 3 shots that I've had at a title, I've done everything that I could do. There's nothing more I could have done. We just either didn't have the speed or the execution. And so, I need to make sure if I get to Phoenix that I am prepared, I am as good as I possibly can be, and sometimes it might not be good enough. Maybe there's just someone a little bit better on that day, and that's okay.
And you said about knocking on the door?
Yeah, I mean, certainly eventually they answer the doorbell. So.
Is there anything on the Priest or Blaney Rex that either you liked what you saw from changes that NASCAR did, or that you feel NASCAR needs to continue to look at to be changed?
As far as the Rex, talking to the drivers and the chats that we have, Blaney certainly is taking the brunt of some tough ones, Priest as well. But they both said that they feel okay, so that's a good sign that it's heading in the right direction. Certainly, from what we've seen, the crushing of the front of the 12 car is certainly a gain in what we've had in the past. So I'm pleased with it. NASCAR's going to continue to look at it, but I'm certainly pleased with what progress has been made. And it seems like the drivers that are involved in it are pleased as well.
It looked like maybe the roof hatch or window net of Priest's car.
Tupperware, yeah.
So is there a fix there? Is there
they'll
easy fix, or is it?
I'm not sure. Too consumed on other stuff.